Hello amigos! Before we start this video, I really want to thank every single one of you for getting the channel up to 1,300 subscribers. The support the channel has gotten in the past few videos is mind-blowing to me, so if you enjoy my stuff and want to see more of it, consider subscribing and leaving a like, please. Anyways, on with the video. I know that I'm almost 9 months late when it comes to this game, but as somebody that never in his life had experienced a full 2D Mario game, I just have one thing to say when it comes to Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Wow. Now I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that this game is perfect and that takes full potential of every new concept that was introduced. Of course, as many things, this game has some bits that truly don't convince me that much. But as a restart to the whole 2D Mario scene in general, it works so perfectly. Let's remember where this saga was seen last time, on the same console, redoing the same experience they once did on the Wii U. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Yes, that's a mouthful. There's nothing wrong with the new Super Mario Bros. Series. In fact, the very first games of this saga are some that are well appraised by the community. Just like how New Super Mario Bros. For the Nintendo DS is very well remembered by the fans, or how about New Super Mario Bros. Wii also offered plenty of replayability. Sure, these games are amazing, but we do have to change it every now and then, you know? New Super Mario Bros. 2, New Super Mario Bros. U, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Again, these games are a mouthful, and while they can provide a fun time, it's nothing exactly new for the fans, nothing that blows our minds like how the first games did, nothing that made it more exciting. And with the release of successful titles for the other Mario sagas like Super Mario Odyssey for the 3D saga, Super Mario Party for the Super Mario Party saga, and even Super Mario Maker 2, fans were wondering about the possibility to see a new fresh 2D adventure for Mario and his friends, and finally drop that quote-unquote new from the title of the games. Because seriously, what was the point of calling them new if in 10 years it's clearly going to show aging? But you know what, I'm not a video game company, whatever. With the first trailer reveal for this game, it was clearer than water that Nintendo themselves acknowledged the fact of the new series not being that quote-unquote new, and that the 2D Mario adventures needed something more fresh for this next game. And my god, did they deliver with the first impressions. Say what you want to say about Nintendo, but they really know how to sell a game. I mean, duh, that's what they do, right? Let me explain a bit more of what I mean with that last thought. For me, a person that has always been more interested into playing open worlds and explore the wonders of the galaxy in Super Mario Galaxy, or travel through the dungeons of Breath of the Wild, or simply walk around in a Minecraft world and doing whatever I want with it, to be interested in an adventure that limits my movements to 4 possibilities being up, down, left, and right, it's somewhat of a difficult task, but it's possible. That was the case with Super Mario Bros. Wonder. At first glance, I was happy for the 2D Mario fans getting a new fresh game that will keep them engaged for hours, but when I saw more and more of the things that they were offering, when I saw that this game has one of the coolest features I've seen in a while, when I saw how pretty much everything in this world feels alive and full of color, when I saw that you can play as Luigi, Peach, Yoshi, and Daisy, that was the moment where I was truly locked in. I couldn't believe it. I was excited for a 2D Mario game. I even made 2 videos about it. This is what I'm meaning when I tell you that Nintendo knows how to sell a video game to any genre of the audience. And who knows how many people were convinced the same way that I was convinced. I was truly excited for the release of this game. I couldn't wait to finally learn more and more about this new world they were presenting. So, October 20th came around, and I'm glad to say that this game did not disappoint. Throughout all the experience of this game, I couldn't stop thinking about one thing in particular. This game looks amazing. One of the main factors that made me reject the new Super Mario Bros. Era was the art style. Sure, by the first years with the first games, it looked pretty good, but as I've said, it will show aging if you don't change a tiny bit of what you're doing. Super Mario Bros. Wonder first level is a total 180 degrees on the art style and animation. Just look look at how they use other colors instead of the classic yellow and green that characterize the old entries. Hear how crisp the new sound effects are for this environment, and probably my favorite, the redesign of the main characters that was needed for many years now. Look at how Mario actually feels alive. Look at how Mario forgets his head while entering a pipe, or Goombas actually having more expression than just the angry ones. This game has killed it with its visuals. I can't remember another game that was equally pleasing to watch, yet so simple with it, because in some parts it's as simple as a glowing animation and a little dance when Mario gets a new power-up, instead of being something automatic with Mario having no reaction to it. Or how about Mario getting full-on serious mode while running and having a big smile while jumping? I don't know what it is, but there is just something about the way they made the ambience and the characters that makes them so appealing. They feel more vibrant and alive. They are so funny to look at, and it's just the perfect amount of saturation of the colors. And it's no surprise that this game needed to have really good animations, since the Mario movie was pretty fresh by that time. It was a surprise for everyone to see Mario so fresh and so full of personality on the big screen, and there is just no way that the Mario from the movies is the same as the soulless Mario we once saw on New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. So I really love how they are taking this new and improved version of Mario to the fullest, with new expressions and sometimes even breaking his whole character model, just to make him even more cartoony instead of being anatomically correct. Ugh. And it's not just the first level in Mario alone. All of the other characters have been reworked to fit this new world, and pretty much every single level feels different. Now I know that's the point with every level you play in a game, but I'm specifying this point more into the art style, because the number of levels that look similar in Super Mario Bros. Wonder is super low, which is something that I can't thank Nintendo for. While it's good to follow a theme in the world you are, I think it's way more fun to make every level feel like its own little world. So yes, we can all agree that this game has an amazing art style that falls more into exaggerating the expressions of the characters. But is it all this game has to offer? Is this game just pretty looks? Well, let's talk about another thing this game does amazingly well. At first thought you might say, well yeah, this is another new Super Mario Bros. Game with the graphics pumped up. But once you really look at it, you can see how this whole game has practically defined what the next games for 2D Mario are going to look like. For starters, we need to see the influence of one of the biggest 2D Mario games on Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Yes, I'm talking about how big the influence is of Super Mario Maker to Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I really love how much inspiration they took with that game. You got speedrunning levels with racing against Wiggler, you got enemy rushes that will grant you rewards only if you make it in a certain amount of time, you got your hard levels that resemble a little bit of those hard levels back in Super Mario Maker 2, you got special puzzle levels that will test your way into discovering a way out. The normal side of this game is filled with what you can expect for a 2D Mario adventure by that time, with the influence of Super Mario Maker and Super Mario Maker 2. Although there was many of the original Mario power-ups missing, I totally love the new ones they added onto this adventure. The Bubble power-up was one of my favorites because of how exploitable and how fun it is to set up jumps with the bubbles. The Drill power-up will surely test your way of how can this be favorable to us, with some hidden secrets only being obtainable with this power-up in hand. And probably my favorite one, just because of how weird it is, the Elephant power-up. Of course, this one is only useful in some parts, and Elephant Mario takes more space than regular Mario, which is something odd, but it is truly such an unexpected feature for a saga like Mario to have a power-up where you transform into a literal animal, because dressing like one wasn't good enough. I just love how this was the thing that pretty much got everyone hyped for this game with the first trailer. The fact that Nintendo decided to add such a ridiculous feature into one of its most precious mascots was so surprising, but I'm not a complainer about the Elephant power-up. I really love the design of the characters with this power-up, and I'm just hoping they bring this new feature onto other entries. But hey, I would like to make a pause and emphasize something I said earlier. The normal side of this game. What do I mean by that? Well, remember in the beginning that I said that this game brought to the table something I've never seen in any other game at all? Well, that single feature alone is what truly hits the reset button on the 2D Mario scene. the Wonder Flower. The Wonder Flower has the ability to make a level from a simple fun adventure to the most chaotic thing you've ever witnessed on a Mario level. The effect the Wonder Flower provides to the gameplay is very simple. It adds a sudden turn into the level to make it unique. In one, some objects will suddenly have life and interact with Mario in many ways. In others, you acquire the abilities of certain enemies to reach the end of the level. In other levels, the whole entire screen tilts and makes certain objects be affected by it. While this feature may not sound like much in paper, the possibilities it has for the many levels Super Mario Bros. Wonder has are possibly endless. And while sure, some of the events are reused in other levels, I'm honestly more into the side of having this idea instead of having a unique one for every single level, since I think that honestly would have been a lot of work and not every single one would have been that good. The Wonder Flower alone would have honestly made the whole adventure worth it in my opinion. While sure the artwork is really cool and it pumps up more the experience, this is what was missing in the other entries to make it even more interesting. And in my most sincere opinion, this is way more eye-catching than having a coin fever in your game or having acorns in your game. Like bro, how is that your main gimmick, bro? I got a little carried away with that one, but as I was mentioning, the Wonder Flower helps keeping the gameplay more and more interesting as you progress in the game. Now, combine that aspect of amazing art style, an interesting new mechanic, and many new power-ups with the movement of Mario. Now, this one hasn't changed one bit. It's still the regular moves like jump, run, ground pound, and many more, but I haven't felt this much attention to the smoothness of the gameplay since playing Super Mario World levels on Super Mario Maker. I swear that sometimes the design of the level is truly designed to beat it as fast as you can, or as weird as you can, or in the most fun way possible that you can imagine. The last thing to top the amazing gameplay factor of Super Mario Bros. Wonder are the badges. Badges on Super Mario Bros. Wonder are nothing but a special quirk you will get while entering a level. It could be crouching to get a better jump, get more speed as you're running, become Spider-Man, get a mushroom while entering a level, or simply never stop jumping. I don't know why would you want that though. But it's here! These badges are the cherry on top when it comes to the gameplay of Super Mario Bros. Wonder, because while on one side the Wonder Flower is going to be totally unexpected and most likely chaotic, on the other side of this game is giving you these advantages that are not necessarily a super buff advantage, but are really fun to use and also a really fun way to try and break the game and reach areas you aren't supposed to be. And it's not like you get all of these badges by buying them or they appear laying around the kingdoms. Instead, you need to beat a certain test that requires the overall understanding of how the badge works. Although I would have honestly liked these levels to be a bit more long, sometimes it felt more like, oh, you get how this is done? Good. Now continue on with this story. They don't bring an actual challenge or situation where you need to think outside the box with your badge, but that's a minor complaint from myself. So yeah. This game nails the big points so perfectly. Animation-wise provides a full, amazing experience that's not overwhelming to our eyes and has some of the best color palettes for every level. And pretty much everything on this game feels alive and so cartoony. Mario has new expressions that pumps up more of his personality, and new animations that no longer makes him an animatronic looking person, but instead somebody that reacts to a power-up, or someone that makes a little jump while entering a pipe, or someone that has many feet while running to make it feel even more exaggerated, but in a good way. Another point so well made is the gameplay. Being influenced by the creativity of the fans by Super Mario Maker 2, some of the levels in Super Mario Bros. Wonder are heavily inspired by some of the most popular ones in Super Mario Maker 2 and Super Mario Maker 1, which is something genius if you think about it. Since everyone was getting tired of what the 2D Mario games were looking like, Nintendo themselves gave the fans the Mario tools to make the levels they wanted to play. And with that in mind came Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which has practically the main genres of Super Mario Maker and Super Mario Maker 2. Like, my god, they even got the music levels that were a big hit on Super Mario Maker onto Super Mario Bros. Wonder in many levels. Also, by adding the Wonder Flower onto the levels, it makes it so that you keep wondering how crazy the stage can get. How hard can they get when you enter Wonder mode? What next interesting idea is the level going to pull off? And how am I going to be able to get through it? So this game has honestly managed to hit out of the park some of the most important facts when it comes to a game experience. art-wise and gameplay-wise, each one being so complementary to each other and also having their own little bits that in detail may not look like much, but it helps so much more to the experience. Although, keep in mind that I said some of the most important facts, and while I truly don't like saying this story in Super Mario Bros. Wonder is simple. Like, super simple. I don't mind it, but it's just, I don't know, I truly expected cutscenes with this art style, not this in-game chattery like they did. Look, if we're truly hitting the reset button, let's do it all the way, alright? Why is it that these 2D cutscenes are still a thing? Also, why is it that we get such a throwaway story like, oh no, this guy got his castle stolen? Let's help him. I know that it's Mario and I know that it's a 2D adventure and it's not the thing that I should be focusing on, but if we're truly moving on from that era, why are we still bringing these lame stories? Don't get me wrong, I love this little prince and he's the reason we can use badges on the levels, so he's pretty chill actually. But hey, how about throwing an actual important story to the game? Who cares, it's not like people play Mario games for the story. And I love the fact that Bowser turns into a literal castle with the Wonder Flower. Again, it's something you have never seen in any other Mario games. What Bowser can't do at this point? He has turned into a cat at some point. He has now turned into a castle. So what's next? He's turned into Mario now? So as I said, I really love how this beginning opens up with the Bowser turning into a literal castle. But he doesn't do that much than just stand in the middle of the map, you know? That leads me into my second point of this game. The bosses on the worlds are definitely a feature on this game. Look, I don't mind reusing bosses in games, it's something that everybody does, okay? But for every single world besides the final one? Now that's where I draw the line. With the Wonder Seed as a twist to the whole level, with many power-ups being added into the game, with the gameplay being as smooth as possible, why is it that we only get Bowser Jr.? In my opinion, it wasn't challenging at all. It was mostly just jumping on his head for 3 hits or more, I can't remember. But oh, the twist is now that he gets angry and uses the Wonder Flower in the most useless way possible? Okay bro, look, I get that the rework is awesome and his design while being with the Wonder Seed is also awesome, but how come we didn't get any more bosses, or even worse, how come this battle didn't get harder and harder as more you went on with the game? Sure, every stage added something that made it quote unquote harder for us to move, but it wasn't necessarily something that distinguished the battle on its own, just like how every single level felt different. But you know what, I'm actually lying, you know? What about the final boss against Bowser? Look, before we start, let me set things straight, okay? I love the idea of this boss being a concert. I love the idea of Bowser jamming out to his own tunes. I seriously love this concept. But it is certainly a boss fight. Nothing from this boss fight made me actually somewhat excited of it being the final one. Literally nothing. I don't know if it's the fact that it's my first ever 2D Mario experience, but it just felt so easy to play. It didn't feel like the level was 5 stars of difficulty. It didn't feel like I was fighting Castle Bowser. It didn't feel worth it after getting every other Wonder Seed. It didn't felt like the end. This boss fight surely needs some work, because I don't think I'm the only one that thinks that this boss fight was easy, and I'm sure that they could have at least put more effort onto this final encounter with Bowser. But you know what, let's move on from that point. Another thing that I don't really like about this game is when it comes to rewarding the player. Do we get like new skins that we can play on, or how about buying something nice with the purple coins that we risk our lives for? Well, as rewards for beating the levels and getting purple coins, we can buy standees, which are useful for putting them on the stage, and yep, that's literally it. We don't get nothing more than just purple coins to buy standees of our protagonist. And look, I get that this can be a feature on its own, just like how the stamps worked on Super Mario 3D World, but if it's something that I'm searching hard on the level and it's basically a requirement to get them 100%, I would at least expect something more exciting like character variants or skins to make the art style look even more cool. But no, we get the same style of 12 standees for every character. Oh, and guess what? This feature can be used online, but we have to pay for that. So unless you're willing to pay for Nintendo Switch Online, you are stuck with these for yourself. Yay, I guess. But hey, one thing is safe to say, the 100% completion is definitely a 100% completion. If you're a nerd like me, you most likely know about this special world on Super Mario Bros. Wonder, a world with many levels all being top difficulty to truly test your abilities on this game. Now, these can go from getting to one point to another while platforms are disappearing, travel through the Mario Maker Kaizo type of level, or live the tragic life of a Goomba. These special levels are what truly made me get the 100%. While they are really challenging and sometimes really frustrating, I was really determined to beat these ones, since you can't really find this type of difficulty in the normal levels, which are challenging and really difficult, but surprisingly really freaking fun. The one thing that I do have to complain about these special levels is getting to them. In a world where there are many possibilities for so many stories, why is it that the only ways that you get to these special levels is by playing a level again? That doesn't make sense to me at all. Like, why would I ever enter this level again if you made it more than clear that these special routes only appear when beating a difficult level? So why this really cheap excuse of entering a house twice or saving these guys twice to get to the special level? It's super confusing, and it's not something that you get by your skill on the game, and more so of your luck of the game. But whatever, if you somehow like me beat all the main levels in the special world, you unlock the final level of Super Mario Bros. Wonder, the final test batch marathon. This level has the difficulty through the roof. Don't let those 5 stars fool you. The batch marathon is pretty much what you can expect, a pretty long level that tests your abilities with every single batch that alters the gameplay. This meaning it pushes to the max every single batch. How good did you get with the Spider-Man batch or the running at top speed batch? While this is something really cool and super rewarding for literally beating every single level 100%, I still believe this concept could have been used in earlier stages of the game. Why couldn't we get a level that was specific for a batch instead of being super short levels? While I get that the batch are nothing but to help the gameplay and not to create a level out of it, I still think it could have been really fun to get some levels that took all of the potential the batches offered. Of course, these ones wouldn't have been a requirement to beat the game, but still, it could have provided what I think a more complete experience and prepare you for the final test batch marathon. But hey, I may have been too harsh on this entry for Mario. Let's remember that this is still the very first game of what it could be an amazing saga. Imagine how great this game could be if it fixes its bosses issues, its reward issues, and its story issues. And don't get me wrong, these problems are just tiny complaints that get overshadowed by the amazing experience this game offers. I love every other detail this game has to offer, and the ideas that were portrayed onto Super Mario Bros. Wonder are honestly really creative. And while sure, this game has a lot of smooth gameplay and a lot of potential for speedrunning, with the final boss being locked until you beat every other boss in every other world, kinda lets down that experience for myself of replaying this game again, unless if it's multiplayer. But if you ask me, there's still one thing that I hope we get in the future. Super Mario Maker 3 with Super Mario Bros. Wonder being one of the game styles you get to make levels on. Because if this was Nintendo's approach on this game, I can't wonder what the community can do with this game style. Nonetheless, after exploring every single world and level, after getting every flagpole to the top, after getting every special world level cleared, what we get as our reward is this. It is certainly a 100% reward.